Welcome to the Subversive Stitch Knitting Podcast. My name is Anna Marie. I'm going to try and edit this as little as possible, but I have a feeling, because I'm like a little bit ill, I probably will have to edit this more, but hopefully I won't have to edit it too much, but also I hope you can bear with me with all of my stuttering. Before I get into like talking about other stuff, I thought I would talk about what I'm wearing, which I realise is not knit, and I didn't sew this myself, but it is something that I spoke about. Well, I suppose I didn't talk about this piece necessarily. I can't actually remember, but in my last episode I talked about re-dyeing black a dress, which I did, and I also put this white shirt in with it. And I honestly think it came out like excellently. I love how the white stitching did not dye around the collar, and yeah, I'm really happy with it, and I feel like I'm gonna get a lot more wear out of this than I did when it was a white shirt. It's like a slightly cropped shirt with long sleeves, so it is also just like a little bit difficult for me to style. Like I just feel like it either needs to be longer in the torso or have short sleeves or something. Like it's just the energy is a bit weird, but I do think that yeah, in this black version it's gonna get more wear, and it already has. Like I've worn it multiple times already. Yeah, so there's that little project, and I also thought I would update you on the state of the dress that I specifically dyed black. I also dyed like a couple other things, but I won't show you the results of that. They're not very interesting, but it was pretty successful. I think the only thing is, so I wore this yesterday, which is why it's maybe a little bit rumpled, but this was the dress that I over dyed black, because it was this like very tragic kind of dulled black before, which I just did not like at all, especially at the torso, and now it's just like a more actual black, not so faded. However, from wearing it yesterday and kind of like trying it out and stuff, I think I've just decided like I don't like it. Which I already, like I had put it away in a pile, and then I spoke about this in my last episode. I think I've been having like a desire to wear black and to be a bit more goth and stuff like that, so I got it out of my like mending pile slash scrap fabric pile and was like, this is black, I can wear it. And yeah, I just think that the shape is not what I like. It has like a skirt that sort of like that kind of like goes out. It does have pockets, which is great. It just has like an irregularly shaped skirt, which I did like before when I wore it years ago, but it's just not really the vibe I'm going for anymore. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. It has some repairs that I need to do. There's like holes on both the underarms, and also yesterday I noticed when I was wearing it, yeah, that there's even like a hole at the side seams. So it's like obviously a pretty worn dress. I was thinking I might try to turn it into a skirt or something, but I don't know. It's also stretchy fabric, which is not a fabric that I use to sew because I don't really understand stretchy fabric. But I suppose I could challenge myself and try, but we'll see. So yeah, that's like a little update on those projects. I thought I would go from those to some stuff that I'm like in the middle of sewing, or like a project idea, and then we'll get to spinning and knitting stuff. So this is like not really much to show, but I kind of wanted to talk about like the concept. Basically, I had this skirt that I've had for a really long time, and I've had it for so long that like as I changed sizes I even like modified it so that it would fit, and it had like a particular shape, and again I think I've just got to the point where like the shape is no longer something I'm particularly enjoying, because I wore it the other day and I was like, this is not really working for me anymore. And so because I really like the fabric, which is this pattern, I thought I would take it apart. And I've seen quite a few dresses that are pleated, that are plaid, and that they have multiple types of plaid, so they have generally like 2 different colours and they're like in the same skirt. So I was like, well, maybe I could do something like that with this, because if I pleat this, like there won't be enough fabric. There's not really enough fabric to go around me, except for maybe if I made it quite a short skirt, and I don't really want that. So to keep the length and also to do something fun with it, I thought, yeah, I would pleat it and then I would combine it with some of the, oh, I should have got it, but This is just more of it. Right. Yeah, my plan is that I'll pleat it into a waistband, probably not made out of the same fabric. I think I'll choose a different fabric for that. I have some like leftovers that are like black, that are like, yeah, that I think would work well with this. And this is the pocket that I just left intact. But then I will get the leftover fabric from the skirt that I made, that I talked about in my, not last episode but the one before that, that's like a black and white check, and that I would use that as the secondary fabric, and so yeah, put it together. That was probably not very clear, and I guess I should have just like not told you about it, but whatever. I hope that it made some sense. I'm excited about it as a project. I'm not sure when I'll do it. I kind of just like decided to take the skirt apart like basically immediately upon deciding I was done with it as it was in that form. But it's been like a very busy and stressful time, and I'm trying to like take a break, so I'm not trying to take on lots of projects. So we'll see when I like actually get to it, but yeah. So I guess now we'll move on to my knitting. Before I show you my Halloween sleeves knitting, which I did finish in time for Halloween, I thought I'd show you these two like hairbands, scrunchies I guess is what this is called, that I knit. There's a fibre art textile community called Material Girls that is run by someone called Alexa Kari, and she makes videos on YouTube, so I'll link her and stuff. And I found her work. She like produces a zine that you can access online, and she also does like in-person stuff, but I don't live in a place near where she is, and I also don't really have spoons for that. But anyway, the point is, yeah, these are from like a particular zine edition. I can't remember which one now, but I will leave it in the description box, which had a bunch of like hair related accessory knitting. There's like not just knitting but crochet, and there's also sewing, and some other kinds of like textile art. Yeah, I think it's really cute. I guess like one thing that I don't really like is when I think the tagline is like fibre art for hot girls and stuff, and like I always just feel like deeply alienated by that kind of thing. Aside from that, I do think that they're doing cool stuff, and like there's quite a lot of discussion about like politics and textile art, and so that is really interesting stuff that I like to tune in for. But yeah, so this was just out of mohair and some scraps from this. And I tried to go with like a vibe, but I don't know how successful it was. I think it looks more successful not when I'm wearing it, to be honest. But yeah, I did a pretty bad job of like mattress stitching it all together, so that definitely could be on me. And like, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, but I mean, it's cute, and when I hold it up on camera, it looks cute. My radiator is on, so I feel like I'm very hot right now, but... And then the other one that I made is this one, which you like tie around your hair. And so yeah, it's sort of like that. I could have had a hairstyle that would help me show this off to you, but I mean, I think my hair looks really nice today, so... But yeah, like I really like this one actually. I think I definitely like it better than this. And I think I might make some more. I partially made it because, as I mentioned before, with the whole like wanting to be more goth vibe, I thought I would have a go at making some like black or at least more goth energy accessories, and I thought this was like a cute one to do. I do have a little bit of the leftover black yarn that I used for this, which I suppose I could maybe use to make another one. I don't think there's any point in doing that. But yeah, so I might use that for something else, maybe like some kind of collar or something. But I don't know. But yeah, and I made an I-cord. I made this I-cord just again with like the leftovers of some of the yarn from that project too, so it was all very economical. And yeah, like I'm happy with both of them. But this one, yeah, I just think it's like, I think part of it is that, to be honest, it doesn't really work for me to just put one like this once around my hair. Like I need it to go twice for it to feel like secure enough, but then like it looks bad because that doesn't look good. So I feel like the vibe doesn't quite work. So basically the only way for me to wear it is if I have a bun, which I've already like used a hairband on, and then I just put it over so that it's like that. But yeah. Okay, and then on to this, which you might have already seen because I did make a reel or whatever it's called, like a short, where I showed it off for Halloween. But yeah, this is the like Halloween sleeves that I made. I did have to like redo the torso area, like not like go back, you know, to the beginning and like the raglan, but from when I split off for the sleeves, I did have to go back and redo that a couple times to try to get it to what I wanted it and to get it to fit how I wanted it to. And like I wouldn't say it's perfect, and like I think how I ended up doing it maybe like gapes a little bit, especially at the back, but I also am not sure how I could have avoided that. And I definitely think it looks better than the other versions that I tried. But yeah, so I knit this in like a hobby like Halloween yarn that I bought like last year, I think. And I used 2 different colorways. The main body is in one part as well as up to the sleeve flare, and then the sleeve flares are a different colorway. And I'm really happy with how that came out, and I'm really just so happy with the sleeves. I think they're so excellent. I love how big they are, and yeah, I'm really also happy with the like the fitting of the sleeve, I would say too, like how it comes in quite in line with the actual shape of my arm, and then it goes out a lot, which I also think like adds to like how flared it looks too, which is exactly also what I was going for. So yeah, I would say this is a really successful project, and I'm really happy with how it came out. I feel like this episode is going to be way shorter than my previous ones, but that's fine. I do have to, what am I saying? When I wear this, I do have to wear something at least up until after my elbow, because I am a bit irritated, or at least like quite sensitive to the yarn. Like it's not a super woolly wool or anything, but I am like, I have sensitive skin, and I knew that, like, you know, that does impact how I can wear it a little bit, which you know, is just something that I have to like figure out. And I think, you know, yeah, there are bits that I would change, but I'm also still really happy with how this came out as a project and as something that I like really had a vision for and then pretty much did execute. So that's really great and exciting. I don't think I'm ever going to be like the kind of person who like designs knitwear patterns or anything like that. I don't like maths, and my brain doesn't really work very well with maths, so like I think I just wouldn't want to do that. But this kind of self-drafting where it's quite like fluid, I guess, did work for me. But I mean, yeah, I definitely can't do it all the time. That's for sure. So yeah, that's, you know, those are the finished knitting objects. I think it looks so good. Like, I do have a couple things that I am currently knitting, but none of them have like changed enough to show like again. I will say that I am trying to finish my Can Do cardigan by Lydia Morrow before the end of 2024. We'll see if I'm successful. But yeah, I'm on the back, and then I have to like shape it at the back and then join the sleeve holes together and then knit the sleeves, and then I would be finished. I guess also the button back. Anyway, that's not the point. I have like done like a couple rows or something, but I think that is going to be the project that I like try to complete and focus on. Although I actually do have a gift that I'm trying to knit for someone, but it's it's not like a garment size, it's like an accessory. So I guess that's actually also another thing that I would like to finish. Yeah, so then I think the next thing and the final kind of like finished piece to show you is this, which is some more spindle spun yarn. I think I showed you just like that it was like on my spindle the last time. This is like a very small amount of it. I don't think I've like actually thwacked this yet or anything. But yeah, it's just some sort of like, I don't know, quite like sea green with some yellow and some blue yarn. It was not supposed to be spindle spun. The staple length was like pretty small. I got it originally to do some felting with, but then it wasn't the colour that I wanted. And yeah, I don't have very much, but I do have a little, and my plan is, so I had this project, and I feel like this kind of coincides a little with it, which is that like one of the you know, sort of resolutions or like textile goals I set myself this year was to knit something green, because I think the colour green is great, and I didn't really know why. I just suddenly felt like I should have more green in my life. I should make something green, like the like energy of green and the kind of like ethical commitment of green. I don't mean in terms of greenwashing, I mean in terms of the world and how green is so like nourishing and also quite powerful, and like obviously moss, and you know, I don't know, there was something there that I really liked about it. And I do think it's a really lovely colour to look at. So yeah, that was like an aim for myself. I have not done that yet, and I don't have very much longer. I'm filming this in November. But I would say this, like, I'm not going to say it counts because it's not fully green, but there is like quite a lot of green in it, so I guess that's good. That's like a step forward. And then my idea is with this to knit some wrist warmers that, you know, like have the thumb and maybe go like to here. I saw a picture of someone who made them with like a bunch of different stitch patterns all around, which was nice. I think I am just going to use like a basic pattern, but like maybe I'll modify it myself and just like play around a bit. I do need more than this for that, for sure. I don't think I could even knit one mitten, or like one hand warmer, out of this. Although maybe I could knit the majority of it, we'll see. Yeah, obviously I guess it also depends on the gauge I knit this at. But I do, I guess, have the option, like I checked on eBay, which is where I bought this wool from before, so I could buy some more, maybe more. I think I maybe got 20 grams of it, or I could have got 40 grams, I can't quite remember, and I can't remember what this was when I weighed it, but there's not much. I think there's maybe 27 grams of this. I don't know, maybe I got 30 grams, I'm not sure. But yeah, so I could get more. They do more bundles, they do like 100 grams and stuff, so I could get like definitely enough to make the project. And then I would spin it, and then whatever. The only thing is, like, because it's not really, like, I don't know the content and whatever, like, I'm not sure how strong a yarn it actually will be. So I also thought, you know, like, I could buy some green yarn and knit it with this, not held together, but like, you know, maybe like in kind of stripes or something like that, or just like different sections. And I could get like other kinds of greens too, and like have a multi-green thing going, which is also an option. I do think I have like a little bit of green yarn, but that was also sort of saved for a little project, but I could use some of that. I don't know. I don't really know what I'm going to do, but I am quite happy with how this came out. I mean, I think this skein looks very nice. I'm not going to undo it. And I feel like, you know, even though the staple length was a bit difficult to work with, and it's not, you know, it's definitely not made to be spindle spun, I'm getting some pretty nice yarn. And I mean, I would say overall this is like a DK kind of yarn, but also at points it does get maybe like thinner than that, and that's great because I actually would like to be producing like maybe a fingering weight yarn, or like a sport weight, I guess, a light DK, which I suppose maybe this actually is more like a sport weight, like altogether. And obviously the aim is uniformity, but also I think if you are spindle spinning something, like, it's not machine spun, like that's the point. It was made with my hands, and my hands are human, so it's got human intricacies in. So yeah, I'm really happy with also the colour. I do think that this is a really nice selection, and I like the way that the green kind of comes out based off of the flecks of blue and yellow in it. I think that's the last sort of like textile thing I wanted to show you, but I also thought I would actually talk about this, which is a zine called Factory of One by Steph Lynn. Yes, Steph Lynn. And it's a zine that I did see on Alexa Kari's YouTube channel, the person who runs Material Girls, because she does a lot of really cool chats about zines and books that are about textiles, museums, curation, contemporary art, and politics specifically, and she has like a thing called Knit Lit, which I really like the concept of, and also it's something I'm definitely thinking about, like whether I can make stuff around on this channel, which I feel like is kind of silly because I obviously have this like as a textile channel, and then like at any opportunity I'm like, okay, but how can I bring like books and text in but I still might, you know. But yeah, so this is Factory of One, and this is basically about the development of the knitting machine, and it also thinks about historical practices of like anti-capitalist struggle in relation to textile and technological advancement, as well as contemporary discussion and kind of like thinking about artistic practice too in the current day. It's split in 2 sections, and they are framework knitting, which is just kind of more about like the development of it. Then we have the Luddites, who I'm a big fan of the Luddites. Here's General Ludd. Then there's stuff about the knitting machine and it's like domestication. Domestication is the word, I guess. It's like risoprinted, and so it's quite like collagey, and then there's some words as well, obviously. There's like an interview with a contemporary like textile artist in this called Cecile Tolkins, which is interesting, although I think that's actually probably the bit of it that I maybe enjoyed the least. I'm not sure, but it, you know, yeah, like it was all pretty cool. And then yeah, there's like a specific stuff that like talks about computerization, because of course like infamously the development of knitting machines, and specifically these kinds of cars which had like a hole or not a hole, like inspired the binary setup of coding, which like obviously helped to develop the first computers and the first computer programmers, stuff like that. That's obviously slightly oversimplified, but like the progress that happened in textile production produced technology that facilitated computers as we know them today. And obviously that kind of legacy, I mean, it's also because technology, I think people only imagine tech as being about like cyber tech kind of thing and like computers now, but obviously technology is also about like, I don't know, making pots and pans, cooking, like making paper, all sorts of things are technology, even if they aren't, you know, in cyberspace or like whatever. Yeah, and then lastly it kind of reflects on what it means to be like a factory of one, and have like a knitting machine and be producing by yourself, which is obviously a very different experience of work and alienated labour than if you were working like in a factory with other people. I feel like I did a bad job of summarising it, but I do think it's really good, and if you're like interested in any of the subjects that I mentioned, then you should definitely check it out. Also like industrial sabotage, that's great. I did also feel like, I don't know if the person who made this has read Threadripper by Amalia Scram, I think is her name. I'll put like a picture of the cover here, but I did feel like the vibe of it was very similar to that because of the way that that book is written. I'll show you like a video of flipping through it, I guess, but basically in that book it has like two, like it has the same page, like on both sides of the page, like the same page number, but they're like telling different stories. It's like one of them is a more kind of personal description of this like particular artist's thought process and practice, and then the other is more like facts about the history of the development of the computer and textile's role in its evolution, I guess. And yeah, I'll leave a TikTok I made where I talked a little bit about it too. I definitely felt like this one was like sharper in its political insight and in its exploration of that, and a coherency around like being a worker that I liked more than Threadripper. But it is an interesting book, and if you are like interested in this kind of stuff, then definitely check it out and check both of them out. Yeah, I think that's like everything I had to say and share today. Should I read like a poem or something? Is there like a poem in this? There's a copy of a song called General Ladd's Triumph in this that I actually already knew because I listened to Chumbawamba's what is it called, like English Rebel Songs album. Again, I'll put a picture, which has a version of this song in it, which, you know, I'd recommend as listening for when you read this. So yeah, I think that is everything I had to share today. So I hope that you're having a nice day when you watch this, and definitely let me know like what you're making at the moment, or if you have any plans. I will talk to you in another video / podcast, who knows.